pod bay doors, please, Hal.
The Book of Boba Fett is open. Welcome once again. I'm your host, Jerry Dean Roberts of ArmchairCinema.com and also ArmchairOscars.com. Seated here with a very pissed-looking Wookiee, the critic, dare I say legend, TalkMovieMe.com, Mr. Doug Heller. How the heck are you today, sir? Yeah, we're doing something a little different today. We're going to fold the last two episodes, 3 and 4, into one because timing issues and just things have come up. Just life got in the way.
Yeah.
Life got in the way. So I want to start with the general complaints about this series. People are telling me that it runs a little too slow. They're a little frustrated with the flashbacks. The structure of this is, it's a lot of tell me something I don't know. In particular, episode 4. I get it. It's not ruining my enjoyment of this series.
No. I haven't felt that way at all. I like the pacing. I like the backstory because it shows we've gotten to see how Boba Fett becomes who he is through the Clone Wars.
Right.
Right. And I'd be real surprised if we don't see him in the Bad Batch at some point too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we saw what formed him into who we saw go into the Sarlacc.
Mm-hmm.
But who came out of the Sarlacc is a different person.
And who's been out of the Sarlacc.
Right.
Because
those experiences made him into a different person. And that needed to be shown.
Well, you know, there's this phrase that we've had around universe building. This is really universe building, not just because it places the characters in a commonality, but because it allows the characters to change in a way that change and grow. Ideas that we have formed about these characters and about certain things are overturned. Mm-hmm. Like, we initially thought of Tusken Raiders as being this gang of marauders.
Right, just mindless animals, but they're not. They're sentient, thinking, communicating beings.
They actually have a tribe. They're a roving tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, something like the Rancor,
mm-hmm.
which we find out is something a little different. It's not just this monster in the dungeon. Or, we haven't really gotten there, but...
Right. And if you... there were a couple of things in Clone Wars, I think, that dealt with Rancor monsters on Felucia, wild Rancors. And because they only exist on Felucia, that beautiful, beautiful planet has some of the most terrifying creatures imaginable. Yeah, and the fourth episode or the third episode was magic because it not only introduced Stephen Root to the Star Wars universe, but it also gave us Danny Trejo. So now I think the Star Wars universe
Strickland
is complete.
And Enrique.
Yes, we've got Danny Trejo. The universe is complete. The galaxy is formed fully now. Every time I see Danny Trejo in something that's not an action movie, I'm like, oh, they got Danny Trejo for this. He does comedies all the time. He played Rosa Diaz's father on Brooklyn Nine-Nine in some hilarious guest spots. Genuinely a funny man.
He has been trying for years to get a third Machete film out, and it was going to be called Machete in Space. But he said, I guess this is the closest Machete is ever going to get to space. But it's really wonderful because encompassing this universe, and I think a lot of the complaints might come from people who are not as, and I don't want to say this as a sneer, but not as tuned in. The more you're tuned in to the Star Wars lore, the more this makes sense to you.
Right. This is. I mean, you've got to be people like us who will look at a creature and go, oh, that's this species, that's that species, and this species originated on this planet. But like, we were watching it, and the Bith musicians from the modal nodes,
Yeah.
and my son said something about, get out of the way, you modal nodes. And I said, that's not their race. That's just the name of the band. They're actually from Bith, and which is a deep core planet. It's like, if you don't know that stuff, some of this stuff is not going to land for you. You don't have to know that stuff to enjoy it. My wife and my son do not know it in depth as I do, and they're still enjoying it quite a bit. It's well told stories.
And I've known what an Aqualish and a Rhodian were since I was 7 years old.
Well, yeah.
So, so it's it goes all the way back. And when you, like I say, it's not to a disadvantage, but the more you know about Star Wars, the more this stuff makes sense to you.
Right. It's like you didn't have to watch Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, Captain America, the First Avenger, and Thor to understand what was happening in the Avengers, but it helped.
Yeah. But the pacing has really got people off of this because Mandalorian is more or less straightforward. I'm not saying that as a criticism. It's just the storytelling is very episodic and it's a little more straightforward.
That didn't have a backstory to tell. It only had a forward-moving story to tell. This has both.
It's got a lot of weights to get off the ground.
Right. This has, we had to see Boba Fett come out of the pit, how he survived, how the Jawas got his armor. The stuff that we could put together through inference is shown, and then, he's not. We get to see that he didn't do this on his own. He didn't fight back from this on his own. He had help, he was willing to accept help, and he was willing to give help.
Right.
And I love how gentle he is with animals. I love the animal stuff that goes on. Even when he puts that dog lizard into a sleeper hold, he still pets it. And he's like, okay, it's okay. And him with the bantha in the third episode there, and the fourth one, and I love how, and then just how he's like, I'm gonna spend time down here with this Rancor. I found the spot. He's treating it like a dog, like a little dog, and I love it. I absolutely adore that he's been imprinted upon by this Rancor.
But I'm ready for the muscle.
Well,
I'm ready for, because the muscle's got to be part of it.
What was it? There's only 3 more episodes, right?
4 more episodes. I think there's 8 episodes. I thought there was 8 episodes.
Oh, there's 7.
7, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, but whatever it is, we're officially halfway through.
Right.
But I like his performance because there are moments, because you can be ruthless. You can run out with rockets and grenades and just start throwing them around, but
sure,
the strength of the character is in his reserve, in trying to wrangle people together.
Right.
It's that George Lucas philosophy. The more I studied anthropology, the more I realized people are better together than they are cannibalizing themselves.
Right.
And that's what you see in the people around him. That's what you see in the Gamorreans because he spared their lives. That's what you see in Fennec.
Yeah.
Um, that's what you see in a lot of anybody who's around him.
Those the cyber optically enhanced
Yeah, there was the
kids.
street gang. Yeah,
Yeah, the that gang that yeah,
I
they're
wonder how it's gonna play with the Wookiee because the Wookiee seems a little harder nut to crack.
yeah. I think though Chrysanthemum is he'll be there until he can't really make money or he can find better money somewhere else.
It makes him a better offer.
Right. I mean, it's the same reason that you know, Jabba had all of those bounty hunters just hanging around his court instead of they're not going out getting pucks and getting bounties and stuff. They're waiting for him to say, "Hey, go get somebody," and
They're waiting for a handout.
and they're making themselves kind of guards,
Yeah,
hired muscle, and he is starting to get people through loyalty,
yeah,
and he just wants people to understand he is a person that you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
hmm
You know, it's not just going to go one way. It's not just all going to funnel up to the top. I'm going to help you as much as you help me.
That's
And
why that summit meeting at the end of the 4th episode.
oh,
Yeah,
that was cool. Um,
they're not going for it. Yeah, they're not going for it.
but these two episodes, and I think that the fourth episode we've probably seen an end to the flashbacks because it caught us right up to where
Yeah.
we had left off in the Mandalorian, um, right at the beginning of this show.
Although she says we're going to need some more muscle, and I'm wondering who that's going to be.
Well, I'm kind of expecting to see Bosk maybe show up. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe IG-88 or Forlom will probably, unfortunately, have to get Dengar.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes Dengar.
Nobody likes Dengar.
Nobody likes Dengar.
Nobody likes Dengar. Well, it's the 4th episode is 90% of it.
Yeah.
Is flashback.
Yeah.
90% of it. It's necessary, but not totally necessary, because more or less everything that they tell you, almost everything they tell you in flashback, you already know.
You can infer most of it.
It's nice to see it.
Yeah, I mean, this is I think some of this is for the people who are like, well, we've never seen it on screen before, so it couldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know about things happening when you're not watching?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
do you lack object permanence? Is that the problem? Is that?
Well, I like seeing this stuff.
I do too.
I like seeing him go back to the Sarlacc pit, although we already know that the armor's not in there.
Right, we know, but he doesn't.
He doesn't. And if somebody dealing with Star Wars, please, please, please label your buttons, because
she dropped the sonic charge.
You ever notice in Star Wars they've always got this panel of buttons. None of them are labeled. Nothing is. It's like just a panel of just buttons. That drives me crazy. It's label your buttons.
Well, you know what? It's worse on Star Trek because they do label the buttons, but they change. If you hit one button, it changes the keypad interface because it's the touch screens.
Yeah.
And they're all numbered. Like they're like N728563 is one button, and N765384 is the next button.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't say what they do.
Right.
It's just that they're there. If you hit
Right.
the wrong button, you have a whole new keyboard display.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the old ones, the original series, they did flipped and switches and turned and knobs, and there's nothing written down. You had to be trained
Yeah.
and just to kind of know inherently what things look like and where they would be placed in a console.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just screwed.
I just love the fact that they just happen to know what this button does.
Yeah.
She's reaching for that button, and it's like, okay, oh, it's a seismic charge. Okay.
Well, it was flashing. She
Was it flashing?
Yeah, it was flashing and beeping. She may have activated it and then was trying to reach the button.
Right.
But yeah, putting that sonic charge down.
Dropping the sonic charge on its gullet.
Yeah, I'm sad that the Sarlacc is now definitely officially dead.
Yeah.
But that was really cool.
That was really cool. Not as interesting as the sight of a Wookiee seated in a casino, drunk, pissed off, and defeated.
Yeah.
It just... The tension is building as he's sitting in that casino.
He sees a group of Trandoshans having fun.
Yes.
Now, for those not in the know, Trandoshans and Wookiees, they're in the same system. They're in the same sector, at least. They're very nearby each other, and historically,
they're always at war with each other.
Right. Historically, they've always been battling each other. The Trandoshans capture other beings and like to hunt them for sport. The Wookiees are high on their list. They like to hunt Wookiees, and there's just a lot of bad blood between both of the species. And he sees them doing rather well at their gambling.
They're enjoying themselves.
They're having a blast, and he just goes up and beats the shit out of them because they're Trandoshan.
Like an old white racist watching a minority having a good time. Just can't handle it.
No good.
But just, I love it. I love that whole scene.
I loved, so, he cleans the clock of 3 of them, and he's holding a 4th up by his arms, ready to just pull.
Was it by his arms or by his neck?
He was holding him he picked him up with both hands by the arms.
Okay.
So if he started to pull, those were coming off, right?
One of them did.
Yes. Well, and then I love it. Jennifer Beals comes up and is like, I remember Cassanton when you were fighting in the pits, and it's just a different time. We can move on from that. And he looks at her, and it looks like he's gonna put him down, and then he just rips the arm off and throws the guy down. And Boba Fett's like,
fuck it.
Well, it was worth a shot.
Max plays something lively. Don't worry about getting the lizard any help or anything, but...
Yeah, well... Well, he's a lizard. Can't he just regrow that?
I was wondering that. It's like
I don't know if Trandoshans can do that. I don't know if
lizards
that's
grow
a feature.
their limbs back, but I was thinking, the character of Boba Fett is interesting too, because what he learns out there in the desert with the Tuskens is so great, because it's an integral part of who he is when he becomes the Godfather.
Right.
Because he comes back, and it's like that scene where he's sitting at the table, and he says, I have to respond to this, and there's all this food sitting in front of him, and he can't eat any of it.
He just doesn't care, and it just keeps coming and coming. He's like, enough food already, jeez.
But it's like he can't eat any of it. It's like, I haven't earned this. I haven't earned this meal. It's like I've got to respond. I've got business to take care of. And it's almost like, I have work to do before I can enjoy this. It's an interesting... I think that's something that came from the tribal mentality when he was out there with the Tuskens.
Yeah, and I think, too, he's just a person that doesn't like to be distracted. If there's something that needs to be done, he wants to get it done so he doesn't have to deal with it.
Right. I can identify with that.
And he just can't focus on eating because he's like, okay, well, there's still, I can't just put this down and feel like a big rich person that doesn't have any worries right now. I
He
can't.
looks defeated when he does too, because it's like, okay, I, I'm losing ground here.
Hmm.
I have to respond to this. Um, what's interesting is how he's going to gain ground. I don't know
No.
because we haven't seen him whip out the muscle yet. But anyway,
That's gonna be these next few episodes are gonna be. I think it's gonna come to a head. There's gonna be some awesome throwdown with the Pikes.
mm,
Uh,
he's going to ride through town on that Rancor.
oh yeah,
You can see it coming.
oh yeah, oh yeah. It's like, did you see my litter this time?
I still love the Jawas, or still love the Java, the Huts. Sorry,
Yeah,
still awesome.
they were.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's about all I have. Uh, Find all of our back episodes, especially our Book of Boba Fett first two episodes, at the Podbaydoors podcast.wordpress.com. You can listen to us on iTunes and YouTube. Hit the like, subscribe, and notifications for that. Head on over to Twitter at pod_bay is where you'll find us there. Copy and paste that at Patreon, and that's where we are there. We thank you so very much for listening, and the Book of Boba Fett is now closed.
The mission has been completed.